live. I'm live. Want to? Oh, right. Okay. Easy peeps and everybody who's joined to see who I am and what I'm doing on the Akai Force Beatstream. Let me just see if I can take this mic. If anybody's out there can tell me how the mic is sounding and volumes are on, because I don't know. I won't know. So I'm just gonna go with what I've got. Let me just put myself up in my headphone. Okay. Well, this today I decided. Well, not today. From last week, I think, or this week. What was saying? Oh, that's Ace. Nice one, Brian, as well. Yeah, and music. Is the music all right? It's loud enough. Yeah. Well, I'm guessing it must be. Yeah, I decided I was gonna kind of show a bit about another of my favorite things, the drum tracks. The drum tracks are interesting because they're not just for drums; it's for everything. You can do so much stuff with it, and in a way that key groups doesn't necessarily work. There's two things in here which use the same architecture: is key groups and drum tracks. So key group tracks and drum tracks. Key group tracks are just basically well, not basically, but they're they're samplers. But you got but the drum tracks, you've got a lot of control over how you use that sample. Um, Easy Dazza, nice one for joining. So yeah, I'll just to repeat myself, but I think you already know. So gonna do drum tracks, and also I'm gonna go into cue links and kind of just show some stuff with cue links. Before I do that, I just wanted to quickly show this. This is quite a nifty thing that I kind of discovered. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know what this chord is, but I do know this. If you use this, there's like I don't know how you call it. I don't even know if it's 5/1, but there's a well, let me go. It's here. There's a there's a relationship between this shape. There's a relationship between these two shapes. So this shape and this shape. So I'm going to show that shape again. So it's that shape and this shape. And what tends to happen is if you're playing this shape, which is kind of like, I don't know, some kind of major or minor, I can't remember, you can tend to find this works musically everywhere. And if I get to there, I can go. So anything that I do with them two shapes appears to work. For example, if I was to go, I don't know, and then move down, then move down. Oh, good lord, something else. It's quite jazzy. So keep that in mind if that's of any use to you. I tend to find I like all the jazzier stuff, and I've tended to find that's easier than playing the mine up here. There seems to be, I think it's a 13th or something, or a 9th. Somebody would know, but it's a nice little cluster. So for anybody into jazzy stuff, that's what I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little warm up, and then and maybe even build on this track. But I think I'll just have a warm up. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to show a little bit more with using I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm going to use an expansion. For anybody who's got expansion kits, I believe this is a way. There's lots of different ways to use them, and I have shown them in the past. But if you just wanted to, if you like, if you haven't got any ideas and you're like, right, let me just do something. I think expansion packs are ace, just even single expansion packs. So let's say, let me do something a bit tougher because I always do. Right, that sounds tough. I like that. So these are really good. Let me see. So what have we got here? We've got all right. Is my headphones working? I'll tell you something. Never skimp out on leads, cheap leads. I got these headphone like jack connectors off of eBay, man. They're just garbage, right? Proper full on garbage. I thought, oh, there was a pack of them. Oh, it's gonna be ace, and then like trash. But anyway, right, let's do something. We'll warm ourselves up. So I've chose a kit here, and we'll do a beat. And I'm going to show you something, just in case anybody doesn't know certain beat patterns. The step sequence is always good for if you ever get stuck on a pattern or you hear a pattern, you go, oh, that's a dope pattern. Let me see if I can remember how to do it. And you're ever stuck. Here's a quick way of doing it. So I'm going to go for my typical bounce thing that I do. So I've got this bounce. So I'm going to put up to 58. I'm a quantized fan, me. I'm not like, well, drop the quantize and that lot. No. I think number one thing you should definitely have, you should have something locked. So whatever it is, if you know quantize and you try to be a dealer-esque and without quantize, you should always have some element locked. Because if you don't, it just drops and it'll sound ropey. Me personally, I always keep quantize. You get used to it. Your ears get used to a good pattern, and then you don't need quantize. But I always keep it in because you can always loosen it up or get rid of it. Don't forget you've also got your strength here. So if you're in screen mode, you've always got your strength as well because of the way this is laid out. So I've got my swings here, I've got my stuff here, and then I've got my strength. So all right, and I'll make it a little less, 90%, 89%. So let's try something then. All right then, and I'll just do it to make life easier. I'm just going to do it in a loop. So whatever it is 2 bars of a thing. And this is quite nifty as well for if you say you were going to do something live and you were like, oh, let me just try. Oh, somebody else. Right. Shout out, look, Love is Love Radio, man. Yeah, nice one. So so I got my boom bap 86. Put me thing on to 59% and I'll 90% on the what's its name strength, even though I'm not bothered about that. And then I've just switched this on just in case you don't know. When you do fixed length and it's on, it'll just loop round, so you've got 2 bars, then you've got your fixed length. So let's make something. And if you ever like wanting to kind of test something out, or you can always go here instead of going up to here. You can always turn the record off here and on there. So like if I wanted to test them out, so. But what I might do is I might just tap notes again, so that I'm into my 16 levels. So then I've got a bit more randomness on it. Let's try that. Maybe. Oh, we got. Yeah, maybe. I could have added that in a different way, but doesn't matter. So, right. So I've got my little pattern there, and I'm like, oh, that's nice, that's groovy. I wanted to know what the patterns were. What was the pattern for the kick? So I can press my finger and hold it, and I'm looking at the kick, and that's the pattern for the kick. It does go off. That obviously this is something that needs, well, it's getting resolved. So I can look at the pattern and look at the relations between it. So what I've got is I've got this gap here on the first bar, and then so double kicks are always going to be at the end. So if I ever want double kicks, it's going to be that. So when it's playing, it's going to do a double kick there. So if I wanted to shift that kick somehow, I could press select and then press that, and I'm highlighted that. And remember what I was on about using the clip, so you've got kind of a super duper version of a push. And then now I could just say, right, let me go to that, and I'll don't snap, and then I can move it a little bit if I want to move it in or out. So if I want to, so I've got more of a swing on that one than others. If the same with the hi-hats, say I wanted to get some of them hi-hats, so I can go to them hi-hats, and I can press select and shift, and then take some of them away. If I did it the opposite way round, it would do inverse. So if I let go of that and I press that, it would take that, and if I press it again, it'll inverse. So I've mentioned about that, but let's say, just for the sake of argument, we'll do some random ones here, that and that, maybe that. So now I've selected them, I can let go of that, and then I can say, right, let me just turn these down a little bit. And then what I could say is, oh, that's cool, but what I wouldn't mind doing is this hi-hat, maybe this first one. Let's see, what is it? Where's that hi-hat? Oh, it's there. So, well, anyway, right. That's my hi-hat. So I could say this first hi-hat. Which one is it? That one, yeah. I'm gonna say I'll choose this one, and I'll say, right, I'll make that probability. So I can go to probability here, or I could go to probability in there, but it's easier to just do it here. So I'm going to go back to here, say probability, and I'm going to be doing the probability of that hi-hat one where it's there, because I already selected it. So I can just turn down the probability of that hi-hat. Oh, good lord, if I'm actually on the right thing there, that'll help. So let me just go to that. So no, do that again. Click off here, right, and then change the probability of the hi-hat down. So I'm going to make it so that it comes on every 30. That's it. And I think is there another hi-hat? Right. Anyway, I've got my little pattern. So I've got my little pattern here of drums, which I showed you, and then I'll start adding some. Not that. No, we'll get. I'll tell you what, we'll build it up. We'll build it up into an actual thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right back up to the, I'm going to go right back up here, and I'm going to switch on launch. So what I'll do is I've got my first, I'm going to come in with the drums, and I'll do a quick arrangement. Let's do a quick arrangement. Well, let's do something really quick, right? We'll do a little warm up. So drums here, we've got our drums. Then what we'll do is we'll copy from here so to the next one. So we've got that going. Let's add. We'll add some more stuff in. We'll just go wild and see what happens. Another bit. We'll copy this. I could add it loose, but I like that. So we've got a little groove here. What else can we do? What else shall we do? Shall we break that down? Yeah, we'll have that. So this would be a tune. So, right, so we've got a little tune there. We can go to arrangement and we could start this. So we'll go up to the top and go to launch. So I've got everything and we're going to record that. So go into there. Wait a sec. I'm going to take loop off. I'm going to do a tune. Now, I'll start with that one. And if you're anything like me, sometimes you want to add, well, I'll leave that. So I'll say, yeah, that's cool. So we'll go in. Could have come in early with that, but doesn't really matter. So let's go. Back. And then we've got our own little tune. Blam! That was quick. Oh, somebody saying something. Hey Tom, glad to hear. Oh, nice one, David. Yeah, nice one. So, all right. So I've got my and this is a quick way of finishing tunes because sometimes what happens is you'll start an idea and then you don't finish it. And I think another key thing about Force is because it's so quick to put something together, you can quickly get the routings of an arrangement down because you've done all your little things there. And this is one sequence. I mean, I could do multiple ones, but I've got my thing here. So maybe I'll change key after that. So maybe it can go duh, 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 and wait a sec. Let me start again. So stop. So I've got my whole thing there. So I can find what key it is. So let me go and play a bit. I'll play a bit. I can go to my plugin, add a plugin in, find the key for this thing. As I showed you before, easiest way to find a key, just keep pressing. Wait. So I like minor, so let's see if this works in minor. So let's go, we've got something. And something I don't normally do. Let's see if I've probably reset. Yeah, I don't see. I played something nice there, but I can't remember what it was I played. So I just go, yeah, whatever. And then I'll just do the well, I don't do the retro record, but what I've got is I've got something interesting there. So what I would do, again, it's about finishing track. So I'm going to play that. I know I've got my piano, and then I'm going to go to notes. So I'll have launch there. I've got my piano here. In fact, I don't even need to do that, so I can have that there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to launch. I'm going to make sure I'm on a clip here. And I'm just going to record. In fact, I'm going to go into that because I prefer that. And I'm going to just play some clip. In fact, I'm going to go one further than that. Let's see. Alright, I'm going to just play around here. So what I can do now, because I've got this as well, is I can start. So now I've got 3 elements here of, oh, someone else is shouting. Well, oh, nice one, Samu. So, right, so I've got my, I've just come up with some randomness things, and let's see what we got. So what I can do is I could either go to bits of a tune, or because I know I already arranged the tune, I can just go to the parts where I thought, oh, the bass came in, that's the element part, or this part. Was anything that I did any good to me? No, I'm not feeling that much. What about this? Actually, some of that sounded nice. Some of that was nice. Some of it wasn't. Da, 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 da. So I can go to list. I can go here. What I do anyway, I'm not gonna. I know me. I have to be quiet. So what I'll do is. Da, 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 da. Sounded nice. So not that. We'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. That was all right. That's not something. Get rid of that. Maybe. Let's see. So, da 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 da. Do you know what? Life's too short. I'll just play that again because now I know I've got the rest of it, which I liked. I just didn't know the da 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 da. So we've got da da. So we've got da da. That's it. So we even know the notes. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 15. So I like that first part. So what I can do now is I could go to clip. I can shorten that clip down there. I could have done it in here. This is the thing. What the main mode sometimes is really good for quick. I'm used to a lot of it, so sometimes I don't even have to think about it. But if you're not used to it, work in main mode because you can always just double tap to get into there. But the reason why main mode's quite good is I could have made that was 2 lengths, so this was 2 bars. That second bar was garbage to me, so I can make it 1 bar short. Then I can click in here and edit and clear the rest of that. So now I go back to 2 bars and I've got the clean first bit and then a second part what I can work on. So I could go so I might go, yeah, oh, that's cool, that's dope. Let me go one more step further. I'm going to undo that. Let me show you another trick. Say I like that first part and I'm like, yeah, that's dope. The rest of it I wasn't feeling. I can copy them and now I've got some alternatives that I could do. So I've got me so all right then, so this first one I can go put that in the first. That's the first. I don't know what I'm playing here. It's a bumming up, but it's alright. So now I've got these ones. So let's see what we're feeling here. Yeah, that's all right. And then what else have we got? No, that's garbo. Now, I'm going to show you some more stuff. Actually, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I just love sharing stuff. Right, this is quite nifty, and I remember I did say this last week. I said I might show little tricks on how you can make something more humanized and generate it kind of do generative, you know, create a melody what creates itself. Generative, I can't remember what the word is. You can do stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that, but for anybody who's like doing ambience kind of thing, here's some kind of this might be some ideas for you. um you could definitely do it with the macros, but I mean that's a whole that's hours and hours of videos. I am going to show cue links and I'm going to show the drums, but I want to show this. So I like this one. I'm feeling. So I like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to copy these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them slightly so that it's doing the similar melody all the time, but slightly different. And a way in theory, should be able to do this. Don't quote me yet, but I think in theory this should be fine. And I could do it. I can. You know what? I'll show you on this. I'll show you another trick with the step sequencer while I'm here. Right. So if I go like this is showing me all of these notes on this step sequencer because it's in. Actually, that's in drum. I thought that would be melodic. Oh no, that's fine. That is in drum. Don't quote me on that yet. I think that should be fine. That is in drum. Let me test it out. So I'm going to press select, and I'm going to select something and see. Yeah, yeah. Let me. So if I select several. So if I go shift select, and I went like this. Right. Okay, because that's the second. So that's showing me the second bar. Let me see. Right. So I'm on the wrong thing. So what I'm on at the moment is just monophonic. So if I press a note, it's going to select that note and it's going to show me where that is. What I could do is I could select certain things by pressing shift select these two notes. They'll remain there as long as I keep my finger on shift and select. They'll remain. So if there was any other notes that I had played, I can kind of go through and turn them off, and it should keep the ones where I have on. So you can kind of get all different notes. So if you had chords, you could do that, and that's another thing that you can do. I didn't know you could. I wasn't quite sure you could do this, but you can actually set up a whole heap of chords using step sequencer. Personally, I wouldn't do that. It's too long. I think life's too short. But you can do it. Now, there's another way that you can do this. Is let me think. Then I have to have a mental note to myself. I think this is it. If you go polynotes, then I've got. I think I'm right here. Am I right here? No, it's not polynotes. It's is it poly 8 times 8? No, forget all that. That's just too long. Do it this way. This is probably the better way. Is really, it's just to show to do it this way. This is just makes life easier in a way. So this is what you can do. You go shift select, and what was the thing I was? Oh yeah, I remember now. So what I'm going to do is I just want to concentrate on the second bit. Do you know what? I'm taking a long long walk round the shop here. I'm going to take this second half here, the whole of this second half. That rhythm, I'm all right with. So I'm going to say, I'm all right with that rhythm. What I want to do is change the notes and where them notes are. So if I go and my mind is saying I can do it with the human eyes. So I'm going to try it with the human eyes first. Some of this is not as straightforward because there's certain things that I'm learning at the same time as you. That's why I like doing these. And shout out to Simon Harrison. Yeah, push the likes up. Oh, please. Oh, right. Yeah, nice one, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to change the timing. And what have I got here? So I've got the velocity. I don't want to change the timing. I want to, yeah, I have to do it via. I have to do it via pitch. So I'm wanting to pitch quantize. No. What's the easiest way of doing this? There isn't an easy way of doing this. I'm wrong. I'm learning. Sometimes I'm learning. I'm wrong. What my mind was saying is somehow I would be able to expand them and extrapolate them into different notes, but because this is in the correct pitch, it's going to be right. Oh, I've got it. I've got it. I'll go back again. So what I can do is do that. It's a little longer than I'd like, but it is what it is. We'll still do it. What I can do is I can say, right, let me find the notes what I want. So these notes here is something I'm going to fix, but I don't want to fix anything in the first bar. So what I do is press select, and then I press shift select, and I get rid of everything in the first bar. And how do I know it's in the first bar? Because this is the first, well, the top line is the first bar. There's the top two are the first bar because this is in sixteenths. I don't want to start giving you a load of numbers, but the easiest thing is this is the way you want to look at it. If you're using any of this stuff, all of this all together, if you didn't have notes on here, this would be showing you 4 bars. That's the maximum you can see at one time in here is 4 bars. When you've got anything underneath the bottom and you're using a step sequencer, the maximum you're going to see at one time is 2 bars. In sixteenths, I'm just going to say sixteenths because most people are not going to be doing anything apart from sixteenths. And if you want to do triplets, you can add them in after. But just to keep things simple, sixteenths. So the first stuff you're always looking at, the first two is always this side, the first bar. The last two are going to be the second, and that's 2 bars. So what I want to do is, and you can kind of see it if you can, you'll start to see the patterns because if you look, you say, well, there's 2 things there. So what's in the first? Oh, there's 2 things there. So if I go like that, then I've got all the only things I've got is the stuff in the second bar. So what I want to do is I'm going to move this, and yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to move this now. I don't know. I'm going to move in it whatever. This is in D minor, I think, D sharp minor. So I might fluke out, and that might be right. And then I could say to myself again, I'm going to select, look at that note. Where was the notes again? Where was it? I'm in the second bar. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a couple of them again, shift select, and I'm going to say maybe this one and this one. So I could look at that and say, well, what is that? That's the first. That's the second. So I could get rid of that. Do you see? So if that's the second, then that's the next because remember it's the 2 bars. So I'm going to move that again up here somewhere. Now, so what I've got is probably some jank. Maybe I fluked out. It'll help if I'm playing the thing that's playing. So, it's... Which one is it? Oh, of course, I always do the top one. So, Now, that sounds bummy to me, but it doesn't really matter because all I have to do is I'll press shift, no, shift, no. So I know it's D sharp minor. So I'm going to correct all of this here, this second bar, to be right for D sharp minor. And what that should do is move some of them notes around so that they'll be pitched right. And why would I do that? Because now I've just got a variation. I'm showing this in this way as to say only apply to selected events because I don't want it to quantize anything else. So I'll go do it, and now that should be right. So so I kind of want to say use that idea how you will, because me personally, yeah, that sounds like garbage to me. But I just want you to get the idea. So I'm going to show that one more time with step sequencer. And the reason why I'm showing this is it's more about the intricacies of if you wanted to get really deep in and you wanted to change one note, you can change the melodies and notes. You just have to find the notes what it is. So I've got my notes there. I press select and look, it's in the first bar, so it's in the first bar. So if I only wanted this one, I can see there's two notes, so I can just press shift select. I don't even have to press shift select because there's no more, it's just two. So I just have to press the one that inverts. So first, when you press it with select once, it's inversed. The note what you press, what you click, is going to be took out. And then if you press it again, it reverts it. So the note that you press again is the note that will select. Hopefully that makes sense. Right, nice one, ear kills. So that's a really nifty way of getting something. So now I've got that. I can nudge that. I can change the melody or whatever. I can do loads of things. Doesn't really work on this one because in the time that I've explained that, I could have just gone select this, get rid of all of that, press delete. Let me clear that little bitty note thing that I could see. Where is it? Somewhere down at the bottom. Somewhere down at the bottom. Have I got this on follow? Yes, I have. So carry on. It was somewhere down there. I seen it somewhere. I don't know where it was, but I'll get rid of it. So anyway, I'll go back to here. Have I got rid of it? I've got, yeah, I did. I got rid of it. So I've got all of that, and then I'll just play it in. So I've got my first part. Garbage. One more time, because I'm boring myself here. Alright, that'll do me. Now, the thing what I was going to show you, which I just took a really long walk around the shop here to show you. Let me just get rid of that little number there. That was the one. Yeah. And what I noticed, after a while, you start to get to see little patterns in list. Like there was a little bummy note there, and because it was the smallest note, I knew it was the one I wanted to get rid of. Let me get to the interesting part of what I was kind of explaining about generative-ish type thing. So I've got my my melody, but I want to kind of make it kind of change up. So each time it plays, it's going to be the second part. It's not going to be all of it. It's just going to be the second part. What I can do is I can go back to here, and I can go into edit launch. Before I do that, no, I'm going to do this one bit at a time first. So the first bit, what I want to do is each one of these things, launch things, can follow an action. So if anybody doesn't know, this is like same with Ableton. It's just on the rows. It's not on the clips. It's on the rows. So always remember, all of these follow actions are on the rows, never on the clips. The rows. Right. If I go into setting, I can set these to automatically play. So that's quite nifty, and I can make them do it randomly. So that's nifty. Why is this a good thing? Because this was an ace trick what I found when I first used Ableton. I used to use Ableton. Go into follow actions, and there's one thing you slightly have to do differently on here because it's rows instead of clips. Is you'll go follow actions, and I'm just going to go down to the bottom just to make life easier. And the first thing I'm going to do, and I should be able to just go edit. It's going to go back. Doesn't really matter. Do you know what? Right, mental note. I'm gonna remind myself to write that up. Try and write that up. Right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this bottom row here first, and I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna call it random, and I'm gonna say exclude this, and I'm gonna go to the next one. Even though it's playing it, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna do the same to this. Random, exclude this. Right. So now, the reason why I did that is these two rows are never going to play. No matter what's going on here, these two rows are never going to be activated. And the reason why I want to do that is because the next thing what I'm going to do is the opposite to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to I'm going to come to free and I'm going to call random, right, down here, and include this. So again, to the next one, random, include this. And the last one, random, and include this. So what this means now, if I was to play this, it's just going to randomly, on each play round, change to a different row. So this is playing now. So it's going to... Right, that's champion. Next thing what I can do is, because this is playing and I'm like, well, that's no good because that's going to play and I've done my arrangement, so I don't want this to be affected by this. So what I do is well, on this is why the main mode's good. I hold that, I go up here and I come down and I say I want to exclude this. So now this stuff is excluded. So when I play this random thing, observe. So that is not going to be affected. And here's where it gets ace. I can do this on each clip. So I can go through and do you know what? I've never tried this, so I'm going to try something here. I'm going to see if I can select more than one click at a time and do I don't think you can. No, didn't think you could. But anyway, I digress. I'll select that and the two bottom ones don't work anyway, so that doesn't matter. It's everything above that, so it's this one that I want to exclude. And actually, do you know what? Now, actually, that track, sorry, I'll take that back. Take that back. That's all excluded from there. Let me just check on this. Yeah. No. I must have pressed the wrong one. Right, let me just check this. Right, they're out and they're excluded. So I'll say that again, just because that got a bit twisted. Follow actions on here. I took these two out by putting them random. So this will play actions randomly, but it'll exclude these rows. But there's other stuff on there that I don't want to play. So on the track that I don't want to play, I exclude it from whatever's going on here. So now when I launch this, in fact, if I go clip stop, don't quote me on this, but I think if I go like this, yeah, it should automatically. Right, and I have to do it from the launch. Okay, but it's excluded from the launch. So this should randomly, there you go. So that's randomly playing now. What's interesting though, is one thing it seems to be doing is only playing the one bar and then it's coming back around. So if we go into there and we go to launch, we're saying action time is 1 bar, but we don't want it to be 1 bar, we want it to be 2 bars. So now that's going to play for 2 bars. I'm going to speed this right up now. So this is 2 bars length, and anybody who doesn't understand, please just comment. If you're not following, or just say, "Oh, Tom, I'm a bit confused there. You've gone too fast, or you said something a bit confusing," because I'm wanting to share everything and I understand, right? These clips are 2 bars long. These are 2 bars long. These clips, right? I've made these 2 bar long clips randomly play. So when I press this, it's going to play for 2 bars and it's going to randomly play something else. It's going to play, it could play that same thing again. It could play this one. It's going to just be random. Great. Now, that's nice, but here's where things get really interesting. If I go back and I go to here, because it's the easiest way to do it, and I go to settings, and it's on the clip panel. So the clip panel, I mean clip settings. And for each one of these things, I make it legato. So I'll go here and I'll select and make this legato. Go here, select, and I'll make this legato. What this means is every time in the 2 bars, wherever it is, it will change. It'll change. It'll carry on. It'll carry on playing. It'll carry on playing. So the clips are 2 bars long. Normally, if it was playing, it'll play for 2 bars and then it'll change and play for 2 bars and it'll change and it'll always start again. But now that I've got legato on, it's going to play from wherever it is within these 2 bars. So now, if I go back and I say, and I'll go back again, hopefully he's still with me on this. If I go back, let me just make sure I'm on, let me make sure that I did all of that right. So I'm here. Do you know what? Look at that. So how many did I do? Let me make sure I've got the follow actions. So the first one, right? Random include this, 1 bar. So now what this will do is play for 1 bar and then it'll change. What I know is the first bar is fine. It's the second bar which keeps changing up. So what I can say is if I play for 1 bar, it changes and continues on where it is. So if I go back again, hopefully it's making sense, and I should have just pressed this. That's fine. So it's only this one what's wrong. So I'll just change this back to 1 bar. What this means is every time it plays, the second bar is going to be different every single time. I'm going to go a little bit further than that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to 1 beat. So now I'm going to turn this off, and every quarter bar, it's going to change. The first part is always right. So the first bar is always going to be the same because it's not any different. But the second bar is going to change all the time. The melody is going to be different. And now I've got something which will move around all the time. So a good example would have been, but I've done this way. If I had chord inversions and I want it to sound like a keyboard is playing all the time and different chords, all I do is do different chords into these clips and then set it to a quarter bar. And then every time it played, it would play different chord inversions. Or wherever I thought was the length that I wanted to. And that's random though. So if I didn't do random, I could just do it manually and then say, right, well, I want it to do this version here. And I can record. And now I've got this. So now I'm going back to the thing. And just to show you how that pans out, let me go to select. Look at this. So it's Did I press that or did I press that? There you go. Oh, I know why. I've got too giddy. So here's a lesson for you. Remember, if this was a sample, it'd be fine because it would just start playing from wherever it is. For example, if that was an audio track, it would just start playing from wherever it is. So if I chopped up a load of sounds, and that's another example there, if I chopped up a sample and I had it on an audio track, I could have a bunch of samples. Basically, if you've ever heard that Dilla Donuts or whatever, there's a tune, there's a couple of tunes what he does it on, where it's the melody keeps changing. You can do that like sleep on this because you can just get several sequence clips of the sample in different parts, and then on a clip, and then just do random, and they'll always keep changing, but they'll always be melodically right. All right, so all right then. My problem there was the reason why it was going blank is because these notes go over a certain length. So to make life easier, I shouldn't have really made it one. I should have made it like every 2 beats. Then it's not going to try and come in on a quarter note. Actually, that should have really not gapped. No, actually, that's all right. I think that's all right. There's 4 beats in a bar, isn't there? So that's just 1 beat. So it is quarter. So yeah. It's missing notes that, yeah. So I probably would want to do it as quarters. I'm just going to do it as a bar and then be done. And then let's get on with the track. So, because I know even myself, even though I understand what I'm saying, I couldn't understand if you felt a bit lost on that. I'll just put it to 1 bar. It's a case of depending on what material you've got, because this is notes. If I have a note longer than a certain amount, then when it's going to come in, it's going to be blank because it's MIDI in it, so it's going to change it halfway through a note, so you can't play the note. But if that was audio on an audio track, it would play from the audio track or from wherever it is in the audio track. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, look, so we're back to this. So if you observe, you're going to watch, it's going to change. So that's playing something else. And then it'll flip back. So, and that's how you do it. Basically, the reason why it probably doesn't sound that hot is because if you look, there's bits of gaps in it, and when it's moving over, it's kind of funny. Hopefully you got the idea, and it was the way I showed that. I have to admit that was poorly shown, but hopefully you'll get the gist of that, and I'll do it again with another track. What I'm going to do right now. So anyway, we've got our stuff. That was mainly to just show you how you can build on a track. So I've got all of that. Let's pretend that I didn't do any of that stuff just to make life easier, because I got got above my skis, so I'm going to just clear all of that out to none, and then we're good. So we'll get that. We'll get all of that. Get rid of that. And the other thing, what I've just noticed, I learned something new there. I didn't know this before, but I've just spotted something new. That let me just go none. I'm going that, and go here. Let me just see if I made that up in my head. Right. Okay. Mental note to self. Right. So you can also, and then I didn't pay attention to that. You can also do the launch on the sequence as well. So you can have the sequence play and then play into another track. Why would that be useful? I'll tell you why that could be interesting. Is you could have a whole bunch of songs on one sequence and then just have it so when that song ended, you tell it how many bars and then it just goes right into the next song, which is interesting in itself. In fact, even more than that, I just realized what you could do is you could actually do an auto mix. You could set something up so it automatically mixes into another tune on the clip. You see, this is why this thing's so crazy. This is what's brilliant about it, because it's just a case of sometimes if you look at something, you go, "Oh man, you could do some really crazy stuff." I would never do any of that because that's above my pay grade in my mind. But you could do it. Right. Let's get back to what I was doing. So anyway, I've got my tune here, and I've got my bits, so I could add them in. I still got them in legato, foolishly, but but I can play these, so and I can record these in. Right, anyway, I had enough of that. So I'm going to squash that and I'm going to do something brand new. That was all interesting, but whatever. Okay, so here's something brand new and fresh. Let's start over. All right, nice one. Right, this one I'm going to do, as I was saying, right back to the beginning, but not right back to the beginning. Is I'm going to do drums. I'm going to show you all the nifty stuff about, well, not all of it, but how I would use drum tracks. And the first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it by, in fact, I'm going to get rid of that, get rid of all that. So we ain't got anything, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look for a sample, and I'm going to chop up a sample, and we'll, we'll I'll show you certain elements. I'm going to show you a couple of things here actually, which I think you'll enjoy. So let's go and we'll go into chops. And I got some tunes. So right, let's put that into. Oh, that should have been auto. Right. So if somebody says, "Yeah, oh, that sounds groovy," make some out of that, then I will. But that's all right. I quite like that. Oh, yeah, feeling that, but I'll go a bit more. Oh, I can't like that. That's the one I'm using. Right. So we'll do a whole shebang on this. So let's find a bit first. I'll show you a few things what are nice about sample edit. If you don't know these things, you probably do. But if you go over to this little square here, that puts you, when you're in trim mode, it puts you into like MPC play mode. The best one I think of the MPC play mode is this button, and the reason being is it loops things and it just keeps it in loop until you press that. It keeps it in loop. So before I do anything, I'm going to go through this, and I always like using the data dial. So I'll quickly go through, zoom in. What's that? That's what I heard, me man. That's the one. That's it for me. So I'll zoom out. I'll keep this playing. This is what I do like. Reminds me of my ASRs back in the day. Working the tuner way. Zoom in, get myself a nice loop. I went da 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 da. There we go. What is the sound going funny? Is the sound not working? Is the sound gone off or anything? Because Dean, you've said, what's up with the sound? Is the sound not working? Am I still there? Real low. My voice or the is my voice low or is the music low? Right. All right. I think, unfortunately, Dean, I think that's your end because Love is Love says it sounds good on my end, and so it's hard to say what. A lot of times, what usually happens here, I've kind of noticed it. I'll try and. Do you know what? Actually, oh wait a minute. Oh wait a minute. Let me just see. Let me try that. Has that made a difference? Oh, you're using it. I don't know. Has that made a difference? Um, it's hard for me to see if that's changed. Um, my vocal is my vocal. I'll try and my vocal's quite loud. My vocal's quite high up. So and I haven't changed anything. So yeah, a bit. All right. Well, I haven't changed anything down. I moved something there now. All right, then we'll hopefully you can hear this because this could be cool. So, like I says, this button here, that's the one because that's how you can get a nice loop. I use my ears. Obviously, I could zoom into it and see if it is, but it's right. So I'm like, cool, yeah, that works for me, and just disregard everything else. I could go into it and find other stuff. Should I? Should I? Should I really go to town on this? Let me see. Look at this. What do I like for time? Right. Sound was good in the first place. Music level is fine. All right. Um. Should I go for town? No, no. I'm gonna try and keep this quick brief. I could go to town on this. Going to town would be looking for another part what's similar to that, and then getting that and showing and doing kind of that random thing that I was going to show, but it sometimes it's better if I can kind of just quickly do stuff and show at the same time. I don't want to bore you, but at the same time I want to make it interesting. So I've got myself a nice little loop there. What I'm going to do next, there's a couple of ways around this. This is what's really interesting about having stem now. That stem effect is in here. There's quite a few nifty ways around this. I'm going to do what I'm going to do is I'm going to consolidate after. There's a couple of ways of doing things because I like chopping up samples. One way is shall I show all the ways of yeah, do you know what? I'll show both. I'll do two. I'll do two. First one is I'll get the drum, right? So I'll get my drum track, I'll deactivate that and just point at one. So I've got that there. I'll go back to that sample, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stem that sample. So I'm going to stem it, and it's going to stem as this trimmed sample into this piece here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a chop. In fact, no, do you know what? I got a bit too giddy there. Nearly did it. Do another thing. This is quite good. So what I've got is I've got my nice little then, because I know it's a nice loop, even before that, and this is why preparation is the key. How I changed this to beats so that I got a sense of what it is, and it might have figured it out in the first place. It's saying it's 106, 101, 86. So I want this to be two, but what is it? How long is this? 2 bars long. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the tuning, and it's it's done it. It's perfect. For this tune, I'm just going to match it. So there. So what I did there, if anybody didn't know, is I've matched this loop to that. Personally, that's perfect. It's tuned it up. That's nifty. That's quite nifty. I don't like the odd numbers when people do this. People tend to have these samples and then they keep the in weird odd numbers, and I go, that's no good, because if you have to give that to somebody else, that loop's going to be kind of out and just more shankiness. It's always better to get it to lock numbers. So what it's done is it's matched to the number, so it's brought up to 102. I know why it's done that. It's not. It's done that because what I did is I said match, so I matched the tempo, as opposed to if I'd have pressed that, it would have gone to the project. So I've made it match the tempo. So what it's done is it's moved that pitch up by 0.04. Now, here's the thing: what you can use that information for. Let's say I got a sample, right, and it's a janky number, like that was a janky number, and I want it to match. What I can do is I can say, yeah, match this, and now I know how much I need to tune this up or down by to get it to 102. Why is that good? Because I should be able to use that information for time stretch. Don't quote me on it, but in theory I should be able to go here, and I go to time stretch. If I did the pitch down, if I pitched it up, that's changing the pitch. So where is it? If I go here, I want that one. Oh, I don't even have to do any of that. Ignore what I just said. I don't have to do any of that. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go back to this. I don't want that to be that, so I'm going to get rid of that to back to 4. So I know it's definitely showing the right amount. It's saying that said 107, and I'm just going to time stretch it. So I've got my 107 there, and I'm going to just make that 102. I didn't have to do any of that. What I was going to say, like I say, my brain sometimes it starts doing crazy gymnastics, what it doesn't necessarily have to do. So now I've got that nice, and then now I've got that nice and easy, so I don't have to worry about all that. It's told me it's even in D minor, so I can remember, oh, it's in D minor. That saved me a load of grief. Is it in D minor? I don't know. These things are kind of funny how it sees it, but it's going to be in that ballpark. It's either going to be a D minor or a E minor or something like that. So that's great. So the next thing I can do is I'll go back before I do that with that stems. This is what I was meaning to do. I was going to chop it. So I've got this now, and I'm just going to chop it by regions because, again, it's perfect loop. So I can look at this and I can go, oh, I was getting my timing wrong, so my brain, sorry. That's it. Right, so I've got that. It's beautiful. Right, that is remembered when I go to stems. So if I go back here and I go stems, and I do this, as long as this is in here, it's going to remember that. It's going to remember that it's got those chopped parts in. So when I go and do it, and hopefully it won't be that long, nice, good one. And if I didn't say it, and I do, I genuinely appreciate anybody who's joining in, and I hope that all this stuff I show helps, because it's a bit free roam. I know there's loads of other people who do NPC stuff, and they're all nice and curated, and it's this and that. But I just like to show the roots of it. My premise is, if I can do it, you can do it. Everybody can do it. So we got our thing, and we've got our sample, so we can disconnect that, and we've got right. Well, I thought that would be there, so let me go at it. Eh? Unless I'm deaf. Oh, I'm on launch. There we go. So sweet. We've got our nice sample there. Let's go into it. Why did I chop that then if that was all in there? Because now if I go and I say, let me change that to slices. Oh, wait a minute before I do that. That's giddy. Edit all layers. So it's going to all do everything at once. Now if I go, oh, hello. Unless I did it the wrong way around. Let me do that again. Undo. Undo, undo. Let's see. Can we get right back to no? Okay. Let's do that again. It's the opposite way round. Oh, let's redo. Can we redo that time stretch? Oh, no. Ding ball. I should cancel it. It's going to take just as long to cancel as it is to. Right. Let's do that again. Let's just check that. That's, yeah. Right. All right then. Slight take back of that. So I'm going to go into there and I'm going to untake that because what I want it to do is chop. And let me just make sure them chops have remained. So the chops exist. It's the opposite way round. I always get this mixed up. If you want the chops remaining, you take away the trimmed sample because it'll just trim the sample. Where if you take that off and you do that again, and I realised I've got one extra thing that I didn't need to have because this tune doesn't have any vocals on it. But we're here now, so it doesn't really matter. And it's a short bit, which I think the technology, yeah, oh yeah, things are faster on a computer, but for how old this AZ01 this chip is, which is how old is that this chip? 10 years, something like that. But anyway, right. So I've got our little sample. Right, yeah, that's great. But what we want, and we go edit pad, because that's a quick way to get to that, is we go to slice, and now we've got the slices of pieces. So what I can do is I'll copy them, and I'll do it this way because it's just going to make my life a little quicker. Make sure that I've got edit layers on, and I'm showing you the two different types of ways. So this is one way. So it gets your heads thinking. So I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to copy it straight 16, which means I have to move every single one up one by one. That's why you do that edit layer. So I have to go to this one and make that 2. What I'd normally do is I go copy and then 2, copy and then 3, but it's all right. 3, 4. And you'll see why I did this, unless you already kind of know where I'm gone with this. 9. Wait a sec. 9, 10, 11, 15. Am I done that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, mate, I'm terrible at it. 11. Should know better. Right. Oh yeah. 16. No harm to do more than what you need. So I've got my truthfully, what I could have done, no, that was a better way because I was just thinking. The other way is I do the slices and then I just for each one I create a separate one for each one. So that's another way that you could do it. So I'd have a separate track for drums, a separate track for this, a separate track for that. Why is this way quite nifty? Well, I can kind of I'll do this in its easiest form. Oh no, it doesn't start there, does it? It starts after the bar in it, so it starts there. Alright, so we're back to front. Oh, come on. Obviously, I played that bummy. It doesn't really matter. Oh, and do you know what? Let's have a bit of fun with it. So, put the velocity fully, and then I'll fix the where it's from. Right. So, what's any good about that? You may be asking. Well, the thing is, now because it's all in the one thing, technically I can have control over all the little bits of this. So there's a couple of ways round I could do this. But well, I don't need that one, so I can get rid of. Actually, I can edit layers, and I can get rid of. Well, no, I don't need that. But what I could do is I could go select. Go select all. Don't want to do want to do all layers? No, I don't want to do all layers. I don't think. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember. So anyway, right, I've got this tune. I think trumpets are over. So now I've just made my life a lot easier because remember, these are chops. So I'm just trying to think what could do. Do you know what you could do? You can do interesting experiments like we could do a module. What we could do is we could send something to the. No, I'll tell you what we could do. We could have, I think, random slices. Could we do that? Let's try that. Can I do all slices? Right, random. No, because that's going to be. No, that's going to be way complicated. Let me just make life easy for myself because I want to quickly do this. Right, so let me go back to that. The thing about this now is these are slices. So let me think what ones. Actually, here's one. Here's one what we could do. We could go to notes because these are slices, and we go to this bottom one, and we could go to slices. Obviously, the lights are working out, but yeah. Actually. What could we do with that? No, I'm thinking too much. Right, I'm thinking way too much three-dimensional. Right, so we've got our things here. Now I can go through each one of these now, and this is an easier way of saying it. And I could turn on the certain ones that I want. And so let me go back to that current, and I can say, right, maybe on 4, these two. So I can go here, and I'm going to say on these 2, maybe on these 4, I'm going to have it, I'll do click. I'm going to do this one, this one, and this one, just for to show what I mean. And then if I go back to here, this is only going to be up. Oh, good lord! Put that onto there. I fucked up. Undo that. French. Yeah. Right. So now. So I've only got on that trumpet there. So what I could do is I could go to effects on just these. No, you can't do it on these ones. I'm getting a bit too giddy. Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to think of things I could do nifty with that from there. I suppose that's the advantage. It's all in one thing. So if I wanted to do a different thing, if I wanted to do a different type of chop, so let's see. I can't think of one. No. Right, all right, let me try this. I'm guessing here. Let's see. Right, we'll have that one. So So you see, now on that that trumpet, I could say, right, let me get rid of that. I'm not feeling that. So I could go here, so it's cleared that. I've got that one bit there, and I could just say, right, I want that down, so I don't want that there. So I've got something else that I've created out of that. And then maybe if there's something like here, this thing has anything interesting in, keeps doing that, undo. Right, okay, we go back in. Mental note to that, mental note to self that. So if we went to, right, that's cool. I'll remember that. Right. Say you're in this situation, what I just were in, right? The best way to get out of that, because remember, each one of these is a pad now, is go to select all, and then just turn it off, and that turns it off on everyone, and then just remember to go back to here. One of the things we got implemented was the multiple, that you could clear multiples, because what I tended to find there was, if you do something and you move tracks, if these were still selected in another track and you forgot, you could end up changing the other track. So having clear in here kind of has pluses and minuses, but I think it's nice that it is in there. Anyway, I've got my two things there. So I suppose you could argue, well, why would that be any more advantageous than stemming them out? I would say because you've got 16 chops now. So depending on what type of material it is, you now have a lot of advantages that I can do. For example, I could change the key, and I'm changing it on everything. So other things which I think are quite nifty, because I've got it on chops. I could go back to that all for the sake of it, because it's only this one thing. And now I could get into the nice chunky filters what this thing has, which are 8. So I could go to there and really chunky it out. So maybe on 4. Bring down the cut off. And then I could go back and I could add a kit again. I think this should be slower. That's another thing I could do. So I could go look for one of them nice thingy kits, pad Thai ones. I think number 1 probably a nice good one for that kind of thing. Alright, so I can find that one, so I'll have that. So now I've got my 2 ideas, but they're all on chops, so I can kind of mess around with them. So if there was something I picked up on here, and I've still got the other thing. So that's that's quite nifty for use of that. So that's why I would say if you're ever using stems and you don't, if you want to try and keep everything contained in the same group, you chop it first. Don't forget to take off the trim sample, and then you've got control on each thing on the layer. You just copy them, and you've got each thing on the layer. This, eh, this not so much because of what it is. But if I like that loop, and then I could say, if I, for example, I'm feeling that loop, but then I realise I don't like anything except maybe the snares. So let me just set that for a sec. So what am I liking there? Say I don't like the snares, but I like the rest of the percussion. Then I could go here, and I could go to to this, and because these are all the chops, I could go to multiple, and the snares are going to be on here, I think. Oh, see, it's different in it because it starts there, doesn't it? So let's see, where else is the snare? Probably here. Yeah, not as much. So that snare, that means the snare's probably there, or is that it? Let's see. Oh, oh, great. So it's exactly in the same way as steps are, because it's 16ths. So you might have noticed there's a recognizable part about that pattern about that. But what's great about that now is I like this tune, um, but I'm going to get rid of the snares. But it's not going to get rid of everything. It's just going to go. Right. Let me just double check that that's not. Yeah. Go back again. In fact, let me just. It's gonna wipe everything. But oh no, it might not. It might not. Don't quote me on that. Let me see. I'll take that off. I'll go back to multiple. Yes, yay! So I've still got the stuff that I wanted. I'll go back to here. I'll go to samples, and then I can take off. So there was something what muted here. Oh, because that's a snare. Oh no. Oh, right. Oh, that's no good. Right. Yeah. Oh, well, I've learnt something new there. Right. Let me go back here, and I'm going to clear absolutely everything. So that's definitely all cleared there. So I want to get rid of that. And it actually doesn't even matter. So I'll just get rid of that. Snare there. And there we go. So now I've got it slightly cleaner. See? Okay, oh nice one. Right, so now so that's quite a nifty way of getting a little sample all containing one thing. Shall we carry on? Yeah. Now we've got this stuff in chops. Another thing what I tend to notice, and we don't even have to create something, because what we can do is we can go back to that, and we can go and we'll go to the others, because there was no vocals, which is all. And I'm sure that'll be something, and it's already chopped. So what I can do is I can just go convert. So I'll go trim, I'll go convert, and I'll convert to a new thing. And what have I got there? I've got all of those elements that are going to be in key. Doesn't always work, but sometimes. No, that ain't doing no for me. But we've got something. We've got the beginning of a tune. So I think we got the key, didn't we? It was D minor. I think it showed it as D minor. So let's try D minor. See if we've got something. Doesn't feel right to me. As I said, sometimes that's what you tend to find. So let's go find the key. B. Yeah, I thought that felt right. So now we've got that. And if we don't know anything how to play, we can still carve stuff. And do you know what we can do? Here's another element. Here's another aspect of us chopping that thing up. And I'm going to bring that thing back in again. The other chop that I did. So I'm going to go back. And this is the advantage. Even though I said, even though I was like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear anything in that. Let me just go down. I didn't hear anything in that other. It's the same material that's chopped. Why is that good? Because if I do that thing again and I convert it, now the thing that I wanted is there. That material is there. What do I mean by that? If I go copy, right, I can get rid of those trumpets and have those trumpets there, but just trumpets clean by themselves. Alternatively, what I could have done is I could just copy that across. So I just made life hard for myself. I made life hard where it didn't need to be. So I'm going to rewind that. Even though I've got this here, where is it? Notes. Even though I've got it there, I don't need to process that again. So an interesting thing, and this is really quite interesting. I was showing this as an example of it's all underneath one roof, but because it's all underneath one roof, all underneath one drum, you can listen to the elements in context without even having to create a further tune. Now I've just heard this and that. So what I can do is I can copy that. So now I've got that there, and then I'll just get rid of everything else that I don't want in it. And the easiest way I could probably do that is I'll turn down everything. Before I do that, I'm going to see if I can, if I do select all, and I've not tried this, will I be able to delete everything on these layers? Right, let's see. So if I select something else, is that delete? Dude! So what I can do, I don't know why that's still, I'm going to have a look at that. That's not, I'm going to get rid of this for a second. I'm going to go to all. Not liking that. Right. But what I can do is I can get rid of, no, I'll keep that bass. I'll get rid of drums. And the reason why The reason why I'll keep that bass is I might actually mess around with the frequency of that bass so that I have it as not necessarily reinforced. I could have it as a melody. No, I'm going to hear it. I'm going to hear it, and then I'll be able to make a decision if I think that works. So let me hear it in isolation. And I won't get rid of it. What I'll do is I'll just turn it down. So I'm going to just turn down that bass. Yeah, oh, that's cool. I've got that. And because it's on its own track, do you know what I'll do? I'll do a little. I'll show some other stuff that I didn't get. I haven't really showed. I'll see what any of this stuff is like using effects. Because I usually build up my effects, but let's see. We'll try grand piano because that should be doing a lot. Oh no, it's just clean. Whatever. Anyway, right, I'll get reverb. I'd love somebody to explain to me a bit more about reverbs, because I listen to it and I just try and make sure that it sits in the pocket with everything else. So I never really think about reverbs in the sense of like, is this a really good sounding reverb or bad sounding reverb? Because I'm so focused on the actual instrument that I don't listen to the reverbs. So I usually just tune them so that they sit with the rest of the stuff. Let me see what somebody else say. About to go to I know you meant time's up. Oh, time's up. Do you know what? I usually put UK. Yeah, Easy Harlem. Night. Do you know what? Sorry about that. I usually do put UK. Right, let's go back to it anyway. So let's see in context. So we've got, and then we've got our delay. I think let's try the Pro delay. I know. Melody one. Oh, double Pro. Go back to the tune and see if we can make it into a little tune. All right, for that. So we've got a harmony. And we've been able to come out with something here. So let's make it into a quick tune and then we'll say peace. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'll not lie to you. I don't know. I wasn't really with it today. It's been a bit of a strange week. I'm gonna I'm gonna close this one off earlier today, and I'm gonna have a real good think um, how I should proceed. Um, I will keep this beat, and I'll try and finish it off for the beat stream. No, do you know what? I'll I'll finish off for the beat stream, um, and we'll show what we've kind of done today. But I think I'm gonna end it now, and I'm going to catch up with you hopefully next week. And I appreciate everybody who's watched, and I hope what I've showed has been helpful. And until then, as always, peace.